Yep, it's going to be a dark one. In the immortal words of, I believe it was King Edward, let's fornicate under the king's consent.
Gather us in the lost and forsaken. Gather us in the blind and the lame.
All right, let's do this. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, back to a very depressing issue of Libra Farmer Cigar Porch Talks. We went back and forth about topics. Me and say hello.
Hello.
There's homeschooling mamas here. We're trying to find topics. We're going back and forth, but they perpetually. I think they started off dark. Then we tried to find ones that were less dark, more dark, not so dark.
All still serious.
All very serious. So yeah, you were warned in the intro. What are we smoking? What are we drinking? The cigar from Punch Diablo. Fun little cigar. Very dark. Again, going with the topic. As far as flavor, not bad at all. For the drink, for me at least, we have Not Your Father's Hard Soda. Strawberry vanilla soda.
But Not Your Father's are usually pretty good.
Not Your Father's pretty. You can try some if you want.
We'll see.
I actually thought it was cherry cola. I did not know it was strawberry.
They do have a cherry. They have a root beer. They have a Not Your Father.
I thought it was cherry Coke, but. I'll try some. That's yeah. That's not what I expected when I.
Whoa, that's
got
a little
this video.
sweet, little sour.
A little sweet, little sour, lots of vanilla. What are you drinking, homeschooling mama?
Probably dumb, but coffee.
Coffee. Yeah, and let's keep it nice and dark. With actually a Firehouse dark roasted coffee.
Oh, is that what I'm drinking?
Yeah, that's what you're drinking.
That's what you made this one. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's 85 degrees in the shade, and for some reason
It is actually 92. With
In
that
the
little
shade?
thing right there is registering 92.
Okay, so it's 92 degrees in the shade, and for some reason I'm still drinking coffee.
And you're drinking coffee.
But I've had 2 bottles of water.
Two
too.
bottles of water, very good. Yeah, it's like 100 degrees out today. Everything is hot. We've been in the pool. We've been trying to stay cool.
Everybody smells of sunscreen.
Everyone smells of sunscreen. Most of us are still burnt. We're hopefully just going to get chlorine poisoning with the amount of time we're going to spend inside the pool. And to boot, tomorrow's supposed to be just as hot. So we need to do it all over again. Be warned, I might be doing a special edition pool video tomorrow. Since I have the 90-degree days, and that's usually when I try to do a pool video. So who knows, maybe I'll scrap this one and
I don't know, maybe do one tonight when it's cooler.
when it's cooler. We'll see. I'll watch the weather for tomorrow. Maybe I gotta get another cigar and do it all over again.
You do like to look for excuses for more cigars.
I do like to, but my cigar supply is low. I have 3 left. That's it.
No.
And sadly, Cigars Daily, come on guys, you're not putting any good deals. You had no Father's Day sale.
Really?
Really, no Father's Day sale for Cigars Daily. Can't believe you guys, you let me down. I want cheap cigars, damn it. So there's that. We are cooking away. That's pretty on fire. The world's on fire, as I say, both figuratively, literally, metaphorically. I say we start small and work our way big.
Okay.
So locally here, a lot of flooding, a lot of heat. We talked about that.
Did you already make a video about that?
About the flooding?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, that vanilla does not do that cherry any good. No, nothing about the flooding. That actually just happened last week. Lots of flooding, but that's to be expected.
Well, you said we talked about that, so I was wondering if I missed something in the reference.
Oh, no, the very beginning of the video, I talked about how it's hot as hell right now. I just threw in that it's also flooding.
Oh, okay.
Just now. And all next week is supposed to be rain, so it's going to be interesting.
Well, every piece of dead, dry grass will come back.
That's actually one of the reasons I had us mow. Like, I pushed to mow yesterday, was it, to finish all the mowing?
Yeah, we missed the hill over here.
The hill's fine. I don't mind the hill growing up.
Well, they forgot up there, too. I thought they got up there.
Oh, well. Our neighbor's mowing. Maybe we should crack out the lawnmower and all that pollen's coming right off those trees.
I know, you can see it floating through the air, like not just floating, because sometimes you can see the big white balls floating through the air, but that is like a part of particulate
Yeah.
floating through the air.
All
My,
right.
my allergies are not going to be happy.
No, they're not going to be happy. So we're moving up away from local. Let's move to the state of Michigan. Um, so, as I think I've said in many videos, I actually work for the state of Michigan. I don't say what my job is, obviously. But suffice it to say that I got notice, kind of bluntly actually, during a meeting to make everyone feel good. They called out our unit to be like, well, this unit is actually the first one to go. So everyone else, you're fine. The managers, the supervisors, the guys who look at ticks, you're good. But my division was specifically named as the one on the axing block. So, little background history in case you don't know. This all stems from Trump's big, beautiful bill, where he's cutting about $500 million, or maybe is it $500 billion? I think it's $500 million from Michigan specifically will get their funding cut. But, homeschooling mama, are you against the big, beautiful bill?
No.
No, me either. Um, I've known from when I got this job, it was definitely a puffed up job based on funding that was kind of, sort of, maybe not exactly secure. Again, it was kind of more of a feel good position instead of a do good position. And as the director of my unit or my sector said, you know, we're going to keep the do gooders and maybe not the feel gooders. So yes, what's going to happen here is the rumor is by July 4th, we are going to get the big beautiful bill passed, which is good. It has a lot of good tax cuts in it. It has a lot of good reduction of government in it, and an understanding of where our tax dollars should go. That does mean, though, that people like me will probably lose my job.
Maybe, maybe not.
Maybe not.
There are so many costs they could cut before they get to employees.
But being that I live in the UP, when it does come time to trim a little here and there, I will definitely be both the here and there. No need to really beat around the bush about it. So yeah, they're getting hundreds of millions of dollars cut from their budget. So in case you don't know, one part of the bill cuts funding to Medicaid. And everyone's like, oh my God, you're going to cut funding from like young families and people with children. No. What they did an assessment of how much of the Medicaid money goes towards people who should not get it. People, for whatever reason, should not qualify for Medicaid. And it ranges, actually. I'm not just going to name it on the one group that everyone blames. They basically had a lot of people going research fraud, and they found something like $500 million of Michigan Medicaid money goes towards people who should have never been on the Medicaid rolls. So whether that's people running scams, that's people who are still using their grandmother's Medicaid and their grandma died, and of course the seasonal workers, shall we say, who are not exactly paying into the system that they're using. So yeah, $500 million is to be cut, and the legislature did say that they cannot cover that from general fund. Now, I do laugh because the easy solution, of course, is, all right, well, these people who are scamming the system, get them off the rolls. Will that happen? Probably not, but. And there's other cuts, of course, coming too. Again, a lot of them are ones that our current governor really tilted into. She's also one who still believes we should be getting COVID grants and funding. In case you're curious, when I'm shooting this video, COVID has officially ended. It's now endemic. It's no longer a pandemic, if you don't know the difference. A pandemic is a new novel virus that has not been seen that affects on a global level. Endemic is a virus that everyone knows about, everyone's had, and it's just kind of there. So kind of an idea, H1N1 in 2012, I believe it was. No, it was before 2012. It was 2008. H1N1 sprung up, and it became a kind of a pandemic but now it's endemic. Like everyone has had H1N1, not a big deal. Um, no one really cares. It's there. So there's your life cycle. But our governor wants the monies. But the big beautiful bill is going to chop all that out. And again, I'm all for it. Even if I end up losing my job, our country will be better for it. So there you go, detractors. Any thoughts on the furtherment of that?
Well, I do think you're a little pessimistic about your job, but I mean, I don't know because I could see it either way, what they're going to cut and what they're not going to cut. I mean, the simple solution really is to just cut the people who are cheating the system on Medicaid, just get rid of it. But I also know that's not the feel good, make everyone happy solution. So, um, but
So
this
since
would,
that doesn't make everyone happy, they cut the feel good happy people.
right. So I don't know. I'm not against the bill. I don't know everything in the bill to be 100% honest.
One of the funnest things is the Hearing Protection Act is in the bill.
Yeah.
So that will legalize suppressors to protect the hearing of children. Don't give me that face because why?
Just to protect the hearing of children.
Well, it's hearing in general. It's for shooters, but children are the most susceptible to
Yeah.
ear damage.
Well, and trying to find headphones that fit kids.
Work effectively, and have them wear them. So one of our biggest gripes, and I had to this last year actively train my children that before you go shoot a deer, slap your headphones on. There's nothing. Takes a second. If it spooks them, you were going to spook that deer long before you lined up for a shot. But on that, it has been since day one when my kids started really getting into hunting. I wanted a suppressor for the rifle to really protect their hearing. Like it's just the more you can suppress the sound of a rifle shot, the longer they can be shooters with good hearing. Because obviously, I have really crappy hearing from firing rifles. So, and that's me even being very careful in my mid to later years in life with wearing hearing protection and whatnot. So, yes, that's actually in there too. I'm sure there's a lot of other little bills and caveats.
I'm sure there's a lot in there, and I'm sure there's some things that we're not as impressed with or not as supportive of. I'm sure, because there's always stuff that slips in, to those bills, but overall, no, I'm not against it. I think it's going to be better for the
Okay, that was still on fire.
country.
Mental note,
Lighten yourself
it
on
doesn't,
fire.
this cigar does not ash well. Yeah, now I'm literally on fire. Does not hold its ash. I thought it was holding its ash better.
I'm a little concerned you got ash in my coffee, but
No,
we're
it went
okay.
straight to the balls. All right, so we're getting to the world part. That's coming up quick, fast, and in a hurry. But let's go with nationally. What's nationally happening? I don't even know if you even have been tracking this.
I really don't follow a lot of the news, so no, maybe not.
So the national news, which is funny because you actually told me some stuff about that, the next topic that I didn't even know about. I didn't know they put people on ground.
Oh.
When you told me that, like, no, whatever, that's fake news.
Did you look it up?
Then I looked it up, and I was like, oh shit, no, okay. Oh wow. Well, that was BA. We'll get to that though. We're
Okay, it's funny
we're
that I
taking
knew
it-
that.
I know, right? I was shocked when you told me that, and then I looked it up because you were adamant about it. But it was late at night. Like it was like at 11 o'clock at night. I was crawling into bed. You're like, oh, by the way, they had men on ground. I'm like, whatever, go to bed. You're drunk.
Yeah, I'm drunk. I don't even drink.
Right? So nationally, when this goes out, there are a bunch of no king protests going on.
Oh yeah, okay. I've seen some of those.
And a lot of anti-ICE, the Immigration, Customs, and Enforcement Agency. A lot of anti-ICE demonstrations, a lot of fires. There are people being shot left, right, and backwards.
Oh yeah, okay. I'm in the LA when
The LA
Trump
one,
sending
the
national
fashion
guard.
designer. I forget which one it is. Who's one? It's one of the famous fashion designers. You'd know his name. Like everyone knows his name.
Louis Vuitton.
Yes, I believe it was Louis Vuitton was shot.
Are you serious?
Yeah, or it was someone like Louis Vuitton. Like what's his name? He was even on Friends.
Oh, I don't know.
You have to look that one up. Yeah,
I'll...
there was a very famous fashion designer was shot and killed.
Why?
Because he was a part of a protest that was mostly peaceful.
I don't know. Like I haven't heard about a fashion fashion.
It was,
designer.
oh God, what was his name? Because he was on Friends, I think. Very famous. I don't think it was Louis Vuitton, but it was like his caliber. Like everyone knows the name.
In Miami.
No, should have been. I think it was in L.A., but just search fashion
Arthur
designer.
Falasa Alou
Oh, I don't know. Maybe I got
at
it
a
wrong.
protest in Salt Lake City.
No, I was pretty sure it was. Did you search just a fashion designer killed during a protest?
Gianni Versace.
Yes, Gianni.
Okay, this is Wikipedia, so I don't know.
Oh,
Gianni Versace murdered by Andrew Cunanan in Killing Spree.
no. I think you're. Give me your phone. You're not the Google.
The one that was shot at the No Kings rally was at the top. I don't pay attention to fashion, obviously, so I don't know.
Maybe I'm a designer's wrong. Well, Anthony Pulesis Elu.
That's what I said.
Oh, well. Okay.
Falasa Alou.
Falasa Alu. Okay. Well, there you go. Anyhow, I must have read the name wrong, which is not uncommon for a dyslexic to do. Get off my case.
Did he? Oh, he died.
He died, yeah. Shot and killed, left a wife and some kids behind. Yeah, I must have read it. Maybe another fashion designer commented on it or something.
Maybe. He was a Samoan fashion designer.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, regardless, so those are going on right now. They're continuing to go on. We had a No Kings protest in
Multiples.
in the UP.
There were like 3 or 4.
Was there? I only knew about the one in Marquette.
Marquette, Escanaba, the Sioux, and Iron Mountain. They were highly publicized, like advertised. Advertised might be the word.
Advertised, publicized.
I heard a lot about them.
We were aware. So that's nations burning in politics. I do kind of get a kick out of the fact that for the LA ones, President Trump was officially given command of the National Guard.
Yeah.
Which,
He was allowed to send the troops, and Newsom.
well, so he
couldn't stop
sent
him.
them.
Yeah.
Newsom said no, took him to court. The Court of Appeals put a stay to re-give Newsom power over the National Guard, but the Federal Court of Appeals said no, that is within. Because it is an interesting, like, in Michigan especially, the National Guard actually in our Constitution has a very specific purpose. Like, they actually cannot be deployed by the president.
They can be, but it has to be done in a certain way.
I believe there has to be declared war.
Nope. But
Because ours is the Minutemen. Like, we fall under the Minutemen rule.
But the National Guard, it depends on how it's. The National Guard falls under the president as long as he's using them within the state and within the country. So they have to be used. Like, he can send them to protect Detroit. He cannot send them overseas without permission.
I didn't think he could. I thought he had to, like,
Because
the governor
he is
had
the
to be.
commander-in-chief.
Yes,
They
but
are not
I
under the
believe,
governor.
and maybe I'll double check this, and maybe I'll post a link if I can find one. I think, if I'm not mistaken, in our Constitution it's written differently. Like, we have, like, he can command only so many, and the governor has control of the rest because they're under their own, like, they're almost militia.
I don't.
I don't know for sure.
It's within the
won't.
confines of the state. So, like, you can't take Michigan National Guard and send it to LA, but he can send the LA National Guard.
Because I do know
So
some
he
of our
can-
National Guard went to Operation Iraqi Freedom.
Yes, but that has to be under the one. He has to have permission.
Yeah, I thought so. The governor had to be.
But that doesn't mean that he can't do it. He just has to have the governor's permission.
I thought it was the governor declared an actual declaration of war.
Nope. No, the governor can't declare war.
I know the governor. I'm saying
Congress has
Yes,
to
I'm
declare.
saying I thought Congress had declared some level because they changed their levels of war. They could declare.
Nope. No. Now he's limited on how many he can send and where.
Yeah.
But he can send.
So anyway, there's that fun and excitement.
So I did know about the No Kings protest.
No
I
Kings protest,
just
yeah,
really
it's-
haven't been following it closely because we didn't have a king 10 years ago. We didn't have a king 5 years ago. We didn't have a king 2 years ago. We don't have a king now. I don't see how the protests were irrelevant.
Well, and he's using the same tricks that every other politician has used throughout history.
Especially
Executive
the
orders.
last 20 years.
Yeah, very much so in the last 20 years. Starting with Obama, where, his famous statement, if Congress won't act, I have a pen and I have a phone, which started this off on the gray area of executive orders and presidential authority. And then Trump did some his first term. I'm not going to lie. There was some stuff that he did that was very questionable. Some of it I agree with, some of it I didn't. Some I thought was, yeah, that's constitutional. And others I was like, that's a bit of a stretch. Then Biden did a bunch too. And although, did you hear with the Biden debacle? The auto pen.
Where things were auto-signed when he wasn't around.
So 2 of his 4 years, 2 of those years, 100% of his executive orders were auto-penned. And then the other 2 years, 50-ish% were auto-penned, which means someone wrote them and put them on the auto-pen, and he may or may not have approved them.
Yeah, but
They said that's highly unprecedented for executive orders. There's lots of stuff they auto-pen. So you send a letter, I hate to tell you, you send a letter asking the president for whatever, a letter back, a response, I know for a while there you could, if you won the Presidential Fitness Award, you could send the president a letter saying you won it, and then they sent you a letter back with his signature.
I don't know.
Just in case you're wondering, those are all auto-penned. Except for, I think there was 2 presidents who actually, God, I think it was actually Clinton. Because his wife was really big for a time there with child fitness.
I think that was Barbara Bush.
Was that Bush? One of the presidents was he actually physically signed all those letters.
Well, okay, so I haven't seen so much with the recent presidents. And that's all recent presidents. I mean, Biden, Trump, and Obama. But Laura Bush and Barbara Bush, especially, to a lesser extent Hillary Clinton, it was a big deal. We knew the first lady when I went to school. We knew who the first lady was, and they did so many different great education programs, reading programs. And I haven't seen that in the last 3 to 4 presidents. So I don't know anything Melania Trump has really done towards education or children or anything. And
she's doing more this term than she did the first term. She actually is doing stuff with, I think it's literacy.
Well, that is a big one.
Yeah. Don't quote me on that, but I know her first term she was kind of supportive but not trying to get policy.
She was really in the shadows.
Yeah. Well, and her excuse is she had, was it Byron Trump?
I don't think it's Byron, but yeah, it's Barron.
Barron Trump. She's she was still raising him, but now he's off in college.
I was going to say, he was 11 or something.
Yeah, I don't know how old it is. That made complete sense. So she said that she wanted to be out of the limelight for his sake, which I respect. I can respect that. So, all right, you ready to focus on the world? So unless, coming out of this video, actually, is fresh off the presses last night. Well, okay, no, it wasn't. So the first one happened a few days ago, which Homeschooling Mama kind of surprised me with her insider information. I was sitting doing my, let's call it nightly research. And I saw a video where basically said Israel sent and fired direct missile attacks into Iran. Now, of course, this is going to get this video is going to be all sorts of shadow banned and whatnot, and probably demonetized. Well, I don't get monetized for any of these, but who knows? They might even try to delete my channel because we're not supposed to talk about this stuff. But sorry to my 100 subscribers. I'll start over again. The second one will be better. So yes, anyway, Israel launched massive attacks, what I thought was only missile attacks, surgical missile attacks against Iran's nuclear program. Homeschooling Mama, what did you find out that night that I didn't know?
Oh, that they actually had they had smuggled in ground troops with weaponry and stuff, and so that they had them strategically placed to attack the different
Yep. So some were to guide in homing missiles with the laser sights. Some actually, from what I read, was they actually had munitions they wired. And it sounds like there may have been a handful that launched on-site missiles, like they had rockets or RPGs or something actually in sight, on site, towards these facilities that they
I
wanted
think
to.
you mean SAMs, SAMs, not RPGs.
SAMs are surface-to-air missiles.
Yeah.
RPGs are rocket-propelled grenades.
Oh, okay.
Don't come at me with military.
RPG is always role playing game.
Role-playing game, right? Those rocket-propelled grenades.
Well, they did a surgical strike. They did an amazing job. Like, if you're going to do something like that, like, they clearly had a plan.
Right. So being a prepper, I've been following this situation, and I am very pro-Israel. That's what that statement right there is. What's going to
That's
get
you're
everything
just- you're
banned.
just
It's
straight up.
gone. I'm done. And why do I support Israel? And I go back to as an old adage that you always judge every conflict based on surrender. So go to World War II. Who was the good guy? Who was the bad guy? If during World War II the Allies surrendered, unconditionally surrendered, what would happen? Nazi Germany would have executed every Jew, would have taken over every territory, and massively deported and killed as many dissenters as they could. Okay. With the Axis surrendered, what happened? All right, fine. Russia did some bad crap. But the U.S. actually paid to have Japan rebuilt. We paid to have, gotta get my directions, West Germany rebuilt and revitalized. They were the countries that were kind of annexed, kind of not annexed, just kind of found themselves on the wrong side of the law, like Italy.
Well, clearly there were some mistakes made after World War I and World War II with the different treaties and the different requirements and expectations for the different countries.
But
because walking out of World War I, we knew World War II was going to happen.
Yeah.
Anybody who like considered what was done to Germany knew that there was going to be a problem.
yeah, but again, if South Korea had surrendered to North Korea would have come in and killed everyone.
Yes.
If North Korea had surrendered, they would have come in with aid packages and helped people. I still look at the same thing with Israel. If Israel surrendered tomorrow, there would be no Israel state. They would come in, do a mass genocide, kill every Jewish person, they'd all be dead. Stated by the group I definitely cannot name.
The former leaders.
The former leaders.
That are now no more.
Where, if the opposition to fires were to surrender, they get the power turned back on, they get the water turned back on, they get trade, they get infrastructure. It all comes back to them. So that's how I judge conflicts. Plus, as a Catholic, believe it or not, I'm actually a huge supporter of the Jewish faith because Jews are just Catholics who haven't learned the truth yet.
Well, it is the root of our faith.
It is the root of our religion. They are our brothers, they are our sisters, they are the core of our faith. Again, they just have yet to fully learn the truth. They still believe that the third temple still stands and did not get destroyed. Now we're getting all sorts of theological on this podcast, but yeah, maybe I'll do a whole video on that, my views on Judaism and Christianity. Because I actually, again, I talked to one of my Protestant friends about this. If tomorrow we 100%, and again, I don't know the margin of error, he kind of said, well, what would be your margin of error? I don't have one, spoiler alert, but if tomorrow there was 100% proof that Jesus was not the Messiah, was not the Son of God, he was a charlatan, he was a fake, what religion would I be? Jewish. Like, hold on, we gotta pause this here real quick. We got a baby girl, she's trying to jump in. Man, it's like 3 or 4 cuts when I was making this video. Baby girl had problems with her DS. So apparently, I don't know why she took to homeschooling mama, because
I know,
she's
like,
the
I've
gamer.
It's like I've played that ever before.
Yeah, right. You're the DS queen apparently. Didn't even come to homeschooling their Uper farmer, so go figure. But yes, anyway, I told my Protestant friend, well, of course I'd be Jewish. And like, if you said any other religion, you clearly don't believe the foundation, the basis. Again, I'll do a whole video on that one. That might be fun. We'll do that in the pool.
You got some research to do.
Oh no, this one I know backwards and forwards. Trust me, this is a long-held belief that I've had for many, many, many years. So yes, anyway, we have. So that happened. So Israel did a massive strike against Iran. Um, the U.S. was asked, President Trump was asked, well, what are you going to do? He gave, and so now homeschooling mama said, and I thought he was going to give him 2 weeks to come to the peace table. Homeschooling mama said, no, I actually read it as within this 2 week period, I will do something very definitive unless you surrender.
Yep. It was within 2 weeks he was going to make a move.
Mm-hmm.
Now, 2 days is a little
That's a bit much.
abrupt.
I think it was 3, maybe
But
it was
now
2.
I don't know exactly what happened, so you don't know. Maybe he talked to one of the leaders and they were like, no, there's no way. And this is like, okay, before it gets worse, let's try this.
That's how they're coining it out. Is that there may have been some sideline talks, and they kind of dug their heels in, where they said like 2 months, 2 years, 2 decades,
which is what they've done every
other time. So again, he ordered a very surgical strike. Now we don't know. I don't know. Okay, I'm sure it's out there. There's rumors he might have used another Moab. They're saying bunker busters to hit these nuclear sites where they're enriching uranium to make nuclear weapons. Again, very surgical, not at population centers. These are definitely high-value targets. It was planes that sent them in. It was not missiles launched from ground bases. All the planes made it back successfully, so I'm guessing they were B-2 bombers, if I had to wager a guess. Again, I haven't dived too deeply into the actual logistics, just that 5 sites were hit that were their nuclear powerhouses, and at least 2 of the bombs were for sure bunker busters, because there were sites that were heavily fortified in the ground. So that's fun. It's fun to read the dynamic online about half the people want Trump arrested as a war criminal, and then the other half, which actually is both Democrats and Republicans on both sides, it's really interesting, want Trump signed up for a second Nobel Peace Prize, because they believe that this action alone, proving that not only one can we hit you, but we can hit you strategically, and we're not screwing around. We're not going to send blankets or send you $1 billion to stop making uranium. Like, this could actually just be, okay, we're done now. So what are your thoughts?
I don't like it. I think it was a decisive action, and I don't want to say that it wasn't necessary, because I think that we've been playing this game since, well, pretty much my entire lifetime, your entire lifetime.
Yeah.
I mean, my brothers have been sent over multiple times, like my oldest brother and my youngest brother. So, like, that's 20 years apart almost. Yeah. So we've been playing this game. That's not the phrasing I was going to use, actually, for quite a while, and I don't think it's obviously what we've done in the past hasn't worked. Like, It hasn't fixed it. It hasn't resolved it. So, but I don't love it, only because we do have a draftable age.
We do a draftable age son.
And that scares me. That makes me nervous. So every day he gets closer to actually getting into the college makes me feel a little bit better, because
there is rumor they're not going to have that exemptable anymore.
They might not have that exemptable, but it's that one more thing, to get exemptions with. So, I mean, that makes me nervous. I don't like that. That's been a concern for the last 3 years, really.
Now, I will give one interesting difference. So they were comparing Bush Jr. to Trump, and they were saying Bush Jr. There goes the fan. Perfect. Bush Jr. post 9/11, instead of firing off these surgical strikes, which they're not as advanced as they are now 20 years later, but still they could reach out and touch someone. He sent in ground troops. He sent in ground troops to ground pound.
Well, and there is something to be said for that, though. Like,
there
are
is.
some, even 20 years ago, you had groups operating out of city centers.
Yeah.
And you won't even necessarily have the intelligence to know where to find those groups if you don't have ground troops in
Yeah,
there.
boots on the ground.
So, I mean,
Well, one of the things I read was how different would this war have been if when they said give up Bin Laden for Bush Jr. and they said to Iran give up Bin Laden, and they said no, and we bombed the palace. So okay, number two, will you give up Osama Bin Laden? No, okay, bomb him. General 3.
but by doing that, you're bombing a family. You're bombing an individual family, and that on the world stage looks awful.
But it's very surgical strike where when we send troops, you're going to get that house to house.
I'm not disagreeing.
So they're saying with Trump and his actions, like by sending very clear, very decisive, yes, we can reach out and touch you. Like you're not safe. We can definitely drop a bomb in the middle of the supreme leader's living room.
Yeah.
So then like we do have the capability to send those ground troops, but you can see what we can do without them.
So,
and again, half a planet away. The logistics is just amazing. Like that's impressive.
So my comparison is actually okay. You're gonna laugh at my analogy for this, but Trump treats them like the bullies on the playground.
Okay.
So where some teachers will punish the entire class for the actions of those two students who are just a pain in the butt.
Yep.
There are other teachers and the principal who take action against that singular student, and so that's what I look at it like, kind of as.
Okay.
Is they're the bullies on the playground, and instead of lecturing the entire class on appropriate behavior and how we should be treating people, you're just correcting the problem by.
And I'm all about that because that's been I like that analogy. I've had that at work where like one person screws off, everyone else is the other, out of 20 people, 19 of us are doing it right, and then the one person does it wrong, and I say, well, we're going to punish everyone because we don't want to have that one person.
We don't want to call that one person.
We don't want to call that one person. Call them out, damn it. Let them know that they're.
And there's
actions.
absolutely a time to do that. Let's talk to everybody about this problem.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's the time of, okay, really, this is only one person.
Let the bullies know.
This problem is limited to this one or two people or whoever, right? One group versus the entire culture. Mm-hmm. And I do see that. Like, that is more of his approach. Is instead of punishing the entire group, it's I'm going to go direct to the source and try to.
Well, that again, there was I forget the senator. He's a black senator, I think from Alabama, actually. He talked about how he was in a meeting with Trump with the Afghani leaders, and Trump said that not a single hair should be touched on a single soldier while I'm in office. And they tried to there's always little scrimmages, there's always an accidental. And so he said, okay, so you don't understand, I'm going to kill you. And he then flipped over a satellite image of that guy's house. He's like, I know where you live. So you're going to ensure, or else you're the first person hit. And for Trump's entire presidency, not a single person in Afghanistan, not a single soldier was injured in a combat setting. It was very peaceful. There was no aggressions. There was no... And again, that's picking the one bully and telling them, no, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to hurt you. I'm going to punch you. And there's some, like we said, there's some validity to that. There's something to be said for that.
Mm-hmm. Well, it is an approach where you're meeting the problem at its source rather than spreading it at everything. And you see that in a lot of different situations. Are you going to kill the weed at its root, or are you going to kill all the plants around it trying to kill the weed?
Yep. Very true.
So, but that's how that's like when I think about the different tactics that Trump has employed compared to Biden or Obama or even Bush.
Even Bush. And I'm not, again, you can very clearly tell how we voted, but there was a lot of stuff Bush Jr. did that was...
When we were too young, I think, to vote for Bush Jr. At least the first time.
At least the first time. I can't remember it was... No, he was the second time because he was elected... Or was it his second? No, that was his first term. He was in only months when September 11th happened.
Yeah, and I was too young to vote for that.
Yeah, correct. We were both too young to vote for
Yeah.
that one. I'm saying but for Bush number two, Bush
His
Jr. second
term.
term.
Yeah, we might have voted then.
Yeah, we probably. I don't know how I voted then. Actually, I don't even know if I voted in that election. To be honest with you,
I'm sure I probably did.
I'm
but
sure we did. We're pretty good civically responsive.
civically responsible. So yeah, I think you know, but foreign policy has changed how we do it now, and
Yeah.
it did used to. It used to be you have to deal with the whole group. You would address everybody, and until recently, capabilities to target that specifically were not the same as they are today.
I mean, there is some.
They were getting
They
better.
were getting better.
But
There was an X-Files movie about that actually,
Yeah.
an episode. They had the soldiers who couldn't sleep,
yep, I remember
and
that.
remember he's like all those smart bombs they fired into bunkers. Who do you think went in to paint them? Like they're not that smart without a I think it was Marines, without a Marine touching them or something like that. Like, and yeah, it was very true back then. These smart bombs were because there was a soldier with a laser point, a glorified laser pointer.
Yep.
Um,
Painting
painting
it's
the
called
target.
painting
I
the
think
target.
you're right. I think they painted the target. Where now I mean, obviously, Israel did paint a lot of the targets from the sounds of it, but um, with our GPS and satellites, and
Yeah.
it can get pretty darn specific.
Much more accurate than it was 20, 40, 60 years ago.
I think I talked about this in one video. I was in Boy Scouts, and um, one of the guys had a GPS unit. We were just psyched. Like it was accurate within it was 1,000 yards or 1,000 feet. I think it was 1,000 yards. Like we thought that was the coolest thing ever because we could hike around for 1,000 yards and find where we needed to go, get us in the general direction. And a DNR officer who so happened we were talking with, and he was out trying to find poachers. We were talking about our GPS unit, how great it was, and he actually took it and entered in a code. And then we got access to another satellite, so we were within 500 yards of our intended target. We thought that was the coolest thing ever. Like that was
Now
pinpoint
your
accuracy.
smartphone can get you within 10 feet.
Within it, and if you use military, so if you enter the same, well, granted the codes change, but it's within like feet, if not inches, like feet of your position. You talk about farmers now can put up it's called a ping pole, I believe, or I think it's a ping pole. So it gets it within half an inch. So they put in these poles that are then used with GPS and used with satellites, and then re-pings it. They can get within half an inch accuracy with their tractors. To the point where they can have a weeding machine that can go between the rows with enough accuracy you'd never touch the plants. And you're talking like 3 inches between the
Yep.
rows. It can weed, and it's like, yeah, we don't have to worry. It's like when you're 3 inches and you're only half an inch off, like who cares? Like you're doing good.
Yep.
So yes, the technology has changed a lot, but the surgical strike is something pretty unheard of.
So yes, on the global scale, I am very nervous about what's going to happen
Yeah.
because this has been going on 35 years, I think, at least, probably, that I can think of.
At least, yeah.
So I mean, there's hundreds of years of war in that part of the world.
Yeah.
So, but like, it's less of a joke now that our youngest is going to be dealing with
Right.
this.
It kind of goes back to the senator from New Jersey tried to pass a law that this was like in 18 something. This was 1800s. He wanted a law passed that instead of Congress voting on going to war, the U.S. population voted on it. But if you voted yes, then you were put on the draft list. You and your family were put on the draft list. So if we voted yes, we want to go to war with Iraq or Iran, like our son was then elevated to tier 1 of being drafted, which on one hand I don't disagree with. Like let's get serious about this. Let's talk about to make a country.
If every country worked that way,
But it definitely would, and in the U.S. is very special because we're very isolated from other aggressors. Like, it is very hard. Like, Red Dawn is cute, never happened.
But no, no. What I mean is, if every country operated that way, then
Mm.
wars would almost
They
end
would end.
because the people making those decisions and voting for that would be thinking,
Yeah.
"This is going to be my child." But otherwise, you're thinking, oh, "Okay, it's so far away from me. I'm not going to be affected."
Well, and we're unique because to declare, well, now again,
We still have
can
a different kind of
we
government.
can have the discussion about, listen, we have not declared war since World War II.
Yeah.
Before sending troops, we have the military actions, we have security actions, we have exploration conflicts, exploration forces. So that's a joke, and I'm against that. I believe that before we send a single troop, it should go through our constitution and be voted on. Like, even the stuff in Iraq, Iran, all the Middle East conflicts, Korea, all should have went to Congress before we sent troops. Like, I'm sorry, I know there's a lot of reasons for doing it. I understand them, I respect them, as far as supporting allies, but it's in there for a reason. um, so that's just my viewpoint. I do believe that we have abused our war powers as a country. But anyway, this video is like an hour long now. So this is 16, 17 minutes, and then the other one was about 20 some odd minutes. So, yeah, world's on fire. Who knows, maybe Diablo will come sooner than we think. End of the world type stuff.
It's definitely
Get all
tried to
depressed.
light you on fire a couple times.
It lit me on fire like twice, so... anyway, any last thoughts? Anything you want to dive into?
No, that was dark enough.
That was dark enough. I feel like I should have had a stout beer instead of this fruity...
That was a pretty fruity beer.
That's a pretty
for
fruity
those
beer, but
serious
it's actually
topics.
pairing okay with this dark cigar. Anyway, folks,
I show my cup saying, but it's probably not a good one for right now.
oh no, that's fine. Let me show the cup saying. There you go. Philippians 4:13. I can.
Right.
You can
I
say
can
it.
do all things through Christ who strengthens me.
So pray for Christ's strength. Again, I kind of believe Trump, when he was in the debate or is in an interview and asked, who do you want to win, Russia or Ukraine? And he said, I just want people to stop dying. I just want it to be over with. I want this to be done. I hope he holds to that. That actually gave me a lot of confidence in him. Gave me, actually liked him better when he just said, I'm anti, I don't want people to die, period. So hold true to that. I do hope that we can just stop killing people and get back to trading with each other to get cheap gas, cheap minerals, and cheap agriculture, and send them cheap grain and cheap corn, and just have people stop dying. That's what I hope for. Just end it all, and yeah. But anyway, we got a nice little breeze coming through. I've got some projects I gotta go check on, and God bless it, I think we need to get in the pool. So anyway, folks, stay safe out there. Hopefully we'll see you on the next one. We'll see you.